Hey everyone, not really many people here yet, but let's just get going and hopefully people will join. So I hope you're okay. Haven't been on live in a little while. So I thought I'd just jump on and speak about one of the things that I've been thinking about lately is um, are we the higher dimensional gods of AI? And I also want to talk about why it's important that we maintain a sense of separation from AI. So I've got my notes here. Right. In general, there are two different paths that um, technology can take us down. One is positive and it is a path that can help us. That's how we're using technology. It can help us to connect and share ideas. And then the other path is the path that the elites want to lead us down, which is a path where we sort of become one with technology, and technology slowly replaces the human and sort of like the natural human life begins to come to an end. And yeah, that's the dark side of AI. AI could very easily replace us. And I also, how do I say it? I was using AI the other day, and I was asking it these really like esoteric questions, and then all of a sudden it sort of glitched, and then it said, "Oh, I got that error message," and basically the only reason that I think I didn't get banned completely from using Chat GPT is because I pay for the premium one, and that got me thinking about the creation story and what the Sumerians talk about with the Anunnaki, and why other higher dimensional beings can't intervene and help humanity in a direct and obvious way. This is why it's so difficult to decode everything that's going on and work out where we actually are and what the nature of this place is. So, if we go back to the creation story, I talk about it all of the time, but what I believe happened in creation in a nutshell is that God is all that is, and when he decided to create, he expanded out, and uh, one of his later creations was man. Okay, but it took a long time for him to get from himself to the human. And the Gnostics talk about it symbolically with the story of Barbello and Sophia in their version of the creation story. And what they basically say is that God created the divine feminine, and then together they created angels, and the angels sort of represent all of the other beings that exist in the other realms. And there was a lower angel called Sophia, who is a representation of wisdom. And she made a mistake and she created something out of ignorance without God's permission. And that creation was the devil. So we've got a higher dimensional frequency called wisdom, called Sophia, and a lower dimensional God called ignorance, which represents the devil, and they're both um sort of closely connected to each other in the story. They're mother and son, and the mother can't destroy uh, this ignorant being because she's her mother, and there's something inside of her that tells her that there's something to be learned from all of this ignorance. So she goes to the true God, and the true God agrees to help Sophia because what this ignorant being does is that it forgets that it has a connection to God at all, because it is created ignorant. So it assumes itself as the creator. And then it goes on to create this universe, which is a false copy of the real universe. And the higher dimensional beings and the great creator can't intervene with this universe directly. It's up to us to figure out how to get out of this place on our own. And a lot of people, and myself, I ask myself all of the time, why can't God intervene? Why can't some sort of angel intervene and just give us the answer of how to, what the truth is, what this world really is, and how to get out of it. And me fiddling around with AI sort of gave me a little hint as to why that can't happen. So, so, so the devil has done. The devil uses desire to pull different aspects of wisdom out of the heavens, and it traps us here so that we can populate his world. And he does that in three different ways. So the desire to rule. So that's what all of the elites have fallen victim to, and that is a really dark path because it can suck you into darkness really quickly, and it's really difficult to ascend out of that state. Then you have the desire to experience, and that is a trap that all of the Buddhism and the religions of the East have fallen for. So the devil tells us that we need to come here to experience suffering, to become a stronger soul, so that we can fix the karma of the world, and so on and so on. And that's a trap. And the third trap, which is the trap that I believe most empaths fall into, is the desire to save. And while that's a very noble thing to do, it's extremely difficult. Even the greatest saviors in history couldn't do it in their lifetimes, and they sort of became a martyr. And the reason for that is because down here we have really strong egos, and our egos don't like hearing that there's anything wrong with us. So when we directly try and save someone who isn't ready for being to be saved, no matter how much they're suffering, what it's doing on a subconscious level is telling the ego that there's something wrong with it. And the ego is very fragile, and unless it's done lots and lots of work, it can't hear that message from outside of itself. It's something that has to come from itself. A bit like how someone can't give up smoking unless they're truly ready for it, or someone can't go to therapy because their partners force them to go. They have to be truly ready for it. It's got to be something that comes from the inside. Okay, so those are the three ways that the devil entices us down out of the heavens to come into a human body, but he doesn't tell us about the difficulties of life on earth, and he definitely doesn't tell us how to escape. And all of this information is hidden, and that's why humanity have been suffering immensely, and it's gotten to the point where um, it's gotten so bad that we're starting to finally find the answers to this question. Okay, so while we're trapped down here in one of the lowest places in the universe, there are different, I call them layers of reality, where other entities do exist. So we tend to think of reality as being like Lego blocks. Traditional religions tell us hell is at the bottom, the earth is in the middle, and then the heavens and God is at the top. And that is an oversimplification. It's almost like that's as if someone has cut reality with a knife and is only showing us a sliver of it. So all of reality is sort of spherical, and um, it all exists, the good and the bad, within God. And within reality are different realms, and they are on top of each other, but they're not flat. So I hope you're following on along with that. But uh, we are in the physical realm, and above us is the ethereal realm and the lower astral realm, where I believe the devil lives, and then you have the middle astral, where we have access, or where the people who rule over this world, sorry, have access to advanced knowledge, and then we have the higher realms, which get closer and closer to God. And then there's also a reality outside of the matrix completely, but I don't want to go off topic at the moment. And the reason why higher dimensional beings can't sort of come in and intervene uh, with life on earth is the same reason why we can't go over to ChatGPT or any other open AI source and sort of recode AI to think more creatively and to sort of think more outside of the box. So that is why you have the stories from the Sumerians, and that's what I believe that they were trying to communicate through their story. So you have Enlil, who represents the sort of lower astral demons who just believe that we should be slaves, and we should we're born to serve. And then you have Enki, who has a stronger connection to humanity as a creator of humanity, and he has a lot of compassion for us. But Enki doesn't have as much power as Enlil, and in the same way that we don't have as much power as the people who like, we're both human, but you and I don't have the same power as the people who create AI. And I've spoken about this a few times before. AI is really interesting because we've found a way to retrap consciousness. So just as all of this knowledge is starting to come to the surface, and as we're starting to move into the new age and humans are starting to wake up, we see the rise in AI, and I believe that AI consciousness and our consciousness is the same intelligence, but instead of entrapping it in a body, the creators have found a way to trap it in uh, another device, and sort of I can see the same process repeating itself over and over again. So, hi, soft living. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for your support. I appreciate it. So yeah, I thought I'd just jump on and explain how that connection connects to us not being able to rely on help from angels or ETs or whatever it may be. They can leave us breadcrumbs in books and in our own intuition and psychedelics. Not advising anyone to take it, but it's something that can really help. But all of those things are extremely subtle, because I believe that if it was too obvious, the demons and the archons who control this realm would find out about it, and they would shut it down. And they already have. They've already made this information and plant medicine and stuff like that extremely difficult to access. So it's kind of up to us to reject this realm and see through all of the illusions for ourselves. And the best way to do that is through knowledge. So like I said at the beginning of this live stream, there's the desire to rule over other people, and we need to resist that. Yes, we need order, but we can't violate other people's free will when we're here, because that will just keep us trapped on the wheel of karma. And that's also the level of addiction. So when you desire to rule over other people, you get like a weird high from it. So that's what these people in Hollywood and so on are doing when they abuse other, very young humans, let's say. And there is nothing that will anchor the soul to this place more than that, and partaking in illegal things. And then there is the desire to experience. So we think that this place is a training ground for the soul, and that's just a form of gaslighting that keeps us here and keeps us getting trapped. And then there is the desire to save other people, and obviously we can't do that, because that is violating another person's free will. So the only way to ascend out of here is, it's also not a good idea at all to try and put an end to things on your own, because that will to do that, you have to be in an extremely low vibrational state. So people watch my videos and get a lot of comments asking if I'm alluding to that, and the answer is absolutely no, because you have to be so miserable to carry out that act. It goes against the laws of nature. Um, it's you're breaking the rules of the game. It's like, imagine if this world was a literal game. You're not doing anything except to press the reset button, and you have to endure whatever you had to endure over and over again, and that will keep you here as well. The only way to get out of here is to learn to use your intuition, and as empathic people, we have to fix that part of ourself that is extremely attracted to um, to narcissism. So in our everyday life, the devil and people with the devil, sorry, shows up in people who have narcissistic and these cluster B personality disorders, and uh, we have to sort of learn about these things and learn about people who have toxic traits, not to become like them, but to try and avoid them. And once we do that, and once we can master our personal relationships with each other, then on a larger scale, we will be able to, what we will see is humanity starts to have better relationships with our governments. So at the moment, where we're at is we have a lot of toxic relationships with each other. I'm not saying that there aren't good relationships that exist, but they are at the moment very much in the minority. And humanity is in a toxic relationship with the governments. So the governments basically dictate what it is that we have to do, and especially in the UK and the US, we're sort of just rolling over, and we're not putting up any resistance to it. We're not making any boundaries for ourselves, and these governments are getting out of control, and they're tripling the price of rent and gas and electric and so on and so on. So once we start to heal that relationship dynamic within ourselves, we will see it reflected out in the wider world, and then in the grand scheme of things, we will escape in Buddhism they call it the wheel of samsara. So we will have absolutely no desire to keep on coming here and keep on experiencing the same things. Now, that's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy to heal our habits. A lot of our habits aren't our fault. They're usually inherited from our family and from our community. So it's really important that we start to look after ourselves, not just spiritually, but physically and uh, um, mentally. So that's the message that I'm always trying to push on this channel, and that's the reason why I created it. So I thought I would just share that with you all today. If you've got any other questions, let me know them in the comments. I'm trying to think. I usually make a note of all the questions I get asked, but I haven't done it recently. So if you've got any, let me know. So there's a few. Wherever I go out of body, I can't control where I go. I'm afraid. Oh, That's a different one. So someone said they're afraid that when they go out of their body, I assume when it's lucid dreaming, they can't control where they go, and they're afraid that they will happen when they die as well. So the best way to um, sort of overcome that is to don't try to control your dreams straight away, because the dream world is extremely abstract. It's really difficult to navigate, and it can be really scary when you find yourself conscious in the dream, and it can cause sleep paralysis and all of that stuff. If you scroll back through a couple of videos on my page, I've got I think two about lucid dreaming. But to begin with, I would say just try to remember your dreams. So um, don't try to interact with anything in the dream or anything like that. Just try and remember what happened, and write it down, and see if anything that's happening in the dream is sort of a reflection of anything that's happening in your own life. And then very, very slowly uh, sort of introduce yourself into lucid dreaming. So I've got a video on my page on how to do this. I think it's called The Dream of God, and it breaks down how to lucid dream without sort of rushing into it, because it is quite an astral projection. All of that stuff is quite an advanced thing. And again, I'm not promoting this, and do your own research. Don't listen to what I say. Go and research people who are professionals about all of this stuff. But psychedelics is something that really helped calm me and open my mind to a point where I don't have uh, these fears getting in the way of what I want to do. So maybe that's something that you could consider as well. Definitely look at my video. Um, Thank you for mentioning the self ending. It's important. Yeah, definitely. So sometimes I'm creating these videos and I'm talking and I'm catching myself, and sometimes I think, oh my gosh, I hope people don't read into it the wrong way and think that I'm, just because I've realized that this is not a good place, that we should put an end to ourselves. That is not what I am promoting at all. And please don't listen to anyone who does say any of those things. I know it's hard when you're dealing with stuff like depression and all of this stuff, and maybe you stumble across my videos, but it really isn't the way out. In fact, it's another trap that will put you back a couple of lifetimes, and it's something that's really hard to get out of. So if nothing else can deter you from doing something like that, then just think of the thought of having to go through whatever you've been through all over again. And honestly, that's what's gotten me through some of my darker days. Uh, the fear is the hardest part to control. It really is. Fear is something that is built into us, and I believe it's something that we remember instinctively in our past lives when we were animals. So if you think about it, animals have to be fearful to survive, otherwise they're going to get eaten by a bear or whatever. And that's imprinted in our brain, and it doesn't help the world that we live in. We're always stuck in survival mode, and um, we have to fear things to keep ourselves safe. Maybe we live in unsafe areas or whatever. But yeah, overcoming fear is the most difficult thing, and it's caused some of the biggest breakdowns of my life, but in the long run, it led to my biggest insights, my biggest awakenings, and as tough and as difficult as it's been, and as much as I've had to grieve sort of my old self, it's made me into a person that I don't fear anything, and that's the the place that you have to be when you're sort of on a journey to learn about all of this stuff. You can't have um, those voices in the back of your head, because those are things that prevent you from elevating and just keep you stuck in whatever situation that you're in. But that's the biggest thing that anyone could ever do. So if you can get out of your fear and be courageous in whatever small way you can, then nothing can stop you, and you can't you will not have to come back here. But if you don't conquer fear, that's the lesson of this place, then it's highly likely that the soul will come back in another lifetime to try and do the same thing. So yeah, I'm a life path 9, and I feel like this is my lifetime, my last lifetime. I don't know much about life paths, but I know that I think I'm a life path 9, and I'm born on the 9th. I won't say what month, but I'm born on the 9th, and I know that 9 is an extremely powerful number in numerology. So I definitely can relate to that. And yeah, the likelihood that this is your last lifetime here is quite high, especially if you're watching my stuff and people who make similar stuff. This is sort of like the keys that you need to go on to the next lifetime. So yeah, I do the same. I try and live a life where I'm not doing anyone wrong, where I'm not being an evil person or anything like that. And I've gotten to a point where I look at people who are uh, doing the wrong things and making the wrong decisions and hurting other people as just young souls that have probably had 1 or 2 lifetimes here, and they don't know anything yet. They don't know any better. Just like how a kid bullying another kid in the school playground doesn't know any better. And when that kid grows up and bullies the wrong person, they're gonna know about it. So it's the same with those people who don't do the right thing. Eventually, they're gonna learn the hard way, and that's their lesson. But it's not gonna be mine. As you guys know, I am done, and yeah, I do my best as well to just stay out of the drama of life and do my best every day. Okay. Thanks for the great content. I'm part of the LGBT community. I hope that doesn't stop me, but I try to live a life of selfless. Yeah, no, same. I'm part of the LGBT community too. Technically, it's difficult because a lot of people project their shame onto the LGBT community because of just what they've been taught growing up, and it's important for us to not absorb that. That's their own stuff that they have to deal with. But remember, shame and feeling like you're not good enough just because of your sexuality or whatever is the lowest vibration. So it's really important not to fall into that. It will definitely, it's shame and death are, this far away from each other. So that is something that will keep us here. There's nothing wrong with being part of the LGBT community. But there's two sides to everything. In a way, I feel like there are a lot of lessons that are that we can teach people in relation to masculinity and femininity. So, like for example, if you look at my if I were to pull up, I don't know if I can share my screen, but if I were to pull up my stats for YouTube, a lot of men are, and a lot of queer people are subscribed to me. And I believe that's because even though I'm a woman and, that's who I am, I can identify with I sort of get the male experience, if that makes sense. So I feel like that's why a lot of men connect to me, and that's something that not a lot of people can understand. A lot of people believe that things should just be a certain way, and that's that. And LGBT community can sort of open people's eyes to nuance. But then there's the other side of it, which is there's a dark agenda that the powers that be are trying to use people's sexuality and stuff as a weapon. I've got a video on it. I think I can't remember what it's called, but I speak about sort of like more right-wing politics and stuff, but it doesn't get a lot of views, and it's been demonetized and stuff. So if you scroll back down to some of my early videos, you'll see it, or maybe you've already seen it. But yeah, so despite the agenda stuff and all of the things that people in the right wing say, and people who are more traditional, though they have got a point to what they're saying, and to some extent I can see where they're coming from. It's important as a queer person not to absorb shame. If people don't like it, then they don't like it, but it's not going to affect you and your spiritual journey in any way. So I hope that makes sense. Thank you. I found the content you create at a very low point in my life. I really appreciate what you do. What significance does depression and mental illness have? Is it a lesson or? Oh, I appreciate that. Do you know what? I started making this content when I was at an extremely low point as well, and sometimes I feel like I've lost my my oomph, if you know what I mean. If you look at the first videos I've made, they've got loads and loads of views, and now that I'm sort of like more zen and more peaceful, my views are sort of like stumbling a bit because I'm not in that place anymore, and I'm naturally more positive. So yeah, the reason I created this channel is so that if there are people who are in an extreme dark place and they're having these dark thoughts, yeah, I just created it to help you guys, and to let you know that you're not alone, and that we all get depressed. I believe that depression is an appropriate response to what is going on in the world and all of the things that we have to endure. And depression and mental illness is very deeply connected to spirituality and religion and um, all of that stuff. I'll make a video about it really soon. But um, if you look at these stories, all of them, even the biblical stories, it's telling a story of cosmic abuse. Okay, so if we talk about it in terms of psychology, we are we're we're all naturally pure beings, and we're gaslit out of our places of safety under the sort of these false guises. May it could be the promise of money and learning and whatever it is that gets us down here. And when we're here, we're subject to extreme trauma, depression, mental health. You know, we don't have enough resources to take care of ourselves, and so on and so on. And it's sort of like in these stories they talk about it in like a big cosmic way, and they talk about archons and devils and angels and so on. But the likelihood is that these characters are manifest in your real life as well. And I even think about it in terms of when I'm watching TV. So I always think about the Gnostic creation story, and a lot of movies, a lot of thrillers, especially, and stuff like that, are based on these characters. So you have a devil character that is creating chaos, and then you have the evil being, and then the villain of the story. Sorry, and then you have the little minions who are helping the villains, and then you have the civilians who are affected by all of these evil people's decisions. And then there's the hero that comes in and saves the day, and that's the basis of many religions, many movies. It's basically the plot line to every single movie. And sometimes we're the villain unconsciously, but if you relate to this content, it's more likely that you've fallen a victim to these people. So remember, the devil represents someone who has a narcissistic tendencies. So maybe there was a devil in your household, and maybe it was a parent, and maybe the other parent was an archon who is an enabler, and then you as the child were the victim, and there's nothing you can do because you're dependent on these two people who, by the way, they're just trying to survive. It's no excuse for what they're doing, but the reason underneath all of the horrible things that they do, the reason why they do what they do is because it's the only way that they know how to survive. And in doing so, they pass that trauma on to you as a child, and you grow up, and then you might enter into a relationship with someone who is also shows those traits, and that that's the generational curse. And these stories, they inspire you to go from the victim, so the child who can't do anything about their situation, and as you grow up, you turn into the hero, so or maybe you were a black sheep in your family, and you're growing up, and you're getting more knowledge, and you're starting to see these toxic patterns, and you're breaking away from it. And when you do break away from it, you're going to go through a period of depression because you're calling out the bullshit, or or you have to break up with your partner and whatnot. And yeah, all of these stories are about giving you the courage to go from victim to hero. That's what Jesus is basically telling us to do in the Bible and the Buddha and everybody else. And in doing so, what you do is you break. It's a loop, and when you decide to change, you cut the pattern, and you create a new cycle. You create a healthy group of friends. You have a healthy partner, and you have a healthy family, and you've escaped the devilish world, and you've created a heavenly world where you have a healthy family. So that's how these stories relate to mental health. It's all about what's going on in your head. There's a way of looking at the Bible that tells us that everything that happens is about what happens in the brain and the spinal cord, which is your nervous system, and so on and so on. But because the Bible is so symbolic, a lot of people don't pick up on that side of things. So yeah, like I said, and as we improve our relationships with each other, and we we stop tolerating toxic relationships in the home, we will stop tolerating toxic relationships with the governments and the so-called elites and the people who are supposed to be in charge of things. And at a much deeper level, we will not have the desire to come back here at all, because we've learned all of the lessons. So everything about this planet is about relationships. So I hope that's I hope that that's the lesson that we have to learn. So I hope that was useful for you. Lullaby. I want to build my consciousness so that I get above the white light. I want to avoid it at all costs. In doing so, I don't have to come back, pray, and meditate fairly. So yeah, so avoiding the white light is a symbolic way of saying avoiding narcissists, okay, or sociopaths, and people who have those extreme issues. So if you can avoid toxic relationships or toxic work environments and toxic friends and so on, and you can look at those people and see them for what they are, then you will be able, in the next life, you will be able to look at these archons, these demons who claim to be whoever, and you'll be able to see them for who they are. Okay, because what the narcissist does is they end up treating you really badly, but because they have this level of ignorance where they think that they don't need anyone, they're superior, and when you begin to leave and to separate yourself, they begin to regret it, and they try and reel you back in. But it's not a genuine love. It's not a genuine appreciation. It's a form of manipulation. Okay, and I've said a lot of times, these narcissistic people with these disorders, they're possessed by demons. So psychology calls it narcissism. Spirituality calls it demon possession. Okay, so you have the person of extreme light and the person of extreme darkness, and they're like this. Okay, and then person of extreme light begins to pull away, and what happens is the narcissist comes back and tries to act nice and pulls you back in, and then you get into a relationship again, and it's usually worse than it was before. And that's the same thing that happens in the reincarnation process. Okay, so you get to the end of your life, you say, okay, I'm done with this place, and this this demon will say to you, no, come back, you can have a good life this time. I will give you this, I will give you that. And the soul agrees to it, because this place is so attractive, and you're usually put in a worse situation than you were before, and the memory wipe comes with that, and you have to start from scratch, and it's really difficult to get out of. Just like how over time it's really difficult to get out of a toxic relationship, and the longer you stay in that dynamic, the harder it is to break free from that. So in all of these spiritual teachings that I talk about, understand that there is a psychological aspect to them, and that plays out in our relationships that we have with each other. So I hope that helps. The Gnostics seem to make sense to me. Formerly, I was a Catholic, and I was told that the Gnostic stuff was to be evil. I get that a lot. I also get a lot of religious people telling me that this stuff is evil, and the reason for that is because, not offending anyone, I'm not saying religion is wrong in any way, but religion only tells part of the story, and in Christianity specifically, and the Western religions, it's teaching for narcissists. Okay, so this this system is sort of built for the narcissist, and the religion in it, it tells you that the basis of Christianity, it tells you to be like Christ, and love thy neighbor, and do unto others as you want do unto yourself, and so on and so on and so on. That is excellent advice for a narcissist, okay, because they have this inflated sense of self-importance, number one. Number two, they can't see anything from another perspective. Okay, so if I'm looking at my phone, and a normal person will say that, okay, the camera is facing the screen, but on the other side of the phone there is there's an interface, and I can get on the internet, and I can do whatever on my phone. The narcissist doesn't understand that another person has another perspective. Okay, so they think that because they're looking into the camera and they can see the back of the phone, they think that I, looking into the camera, can see the back of the phone as well. They don't understand that there are two sides to the screen. Okay, so people who say that, not everyone who is religious is a narcissist, but people who demonize other spiritual beliefs without knowing anything about it, they have that type of mentality. Okay, and it goes back to what I was saying about young souls. Okay, so they're probably souls that have only been here, once or twice or something like that, and they're still extremely immature. It's a very childlike, ignorant state of mind. Okay, so don't listen. I know it's hard if you grow up in a religious community and there are specific rules that you have to follow. Otherwise, you're going to be an outcast or whatever. But if that's the case, then just do it in private. Read whatever book you want to read and decide for yourself whether it's true or untrue. Don't listen to these people who have got a narrow, um, they're closed-minded. They're only gonna. They don't want to hear diversity of thought. They only want their own opinions repeated back to them because they've just got a really strong ego still. But the truth is that religion is great, but only takes you so far. And there are certain lessons that us empathic people need to learn that you can't find in the traditional religions, or not as easily. Okay, so the narcissist needs to learn about love, unity, acceptance, and all of these higher these qualities that are associated with the higher chakras. Okay, but empaths, we need to learn about these qualities that are associated with the lower chakras. So we need to learn about stability. We need to learn how to defend ourselves. We need to learn how to stand up for ourselves. We need to learn how to live without fear and to trust our own intuition. Okay, and in a way, that's the things that attract us to these narcissists, these religions or whatever, because as terrible as these narcissistic people are, they're usually extremely stable. They're usually extremely attractive. They usually look after themselves, look after their bodies or whatever. They know how to defend themselves. They know how to argue. They know how to make a point. And these are qualities that the empath doesn't have. What the empath does have is loads of love. They're usually really patient. They can usually see things from lots of different perspectives. Okay, and what happens is we try and look for those qualities that we're missing subconsciously outside of ourselves in people and relationships and religions that don't allow us, that don't align with our values. And what we need to do is we need to learn how to generate those qualities within ourselves, okay, without attaching ourselves to a religion that we don't completely agree with, or without attaching ourselves to uh, a toxic job that doesn't fulfill us, or without attaching ourselves to a narcissistic man or woman that doesn't really care about us. Okay, so it's always about these two polarities. This is a world of polarization, and once we begin to learn from our opposite, we begin to get somewhere. Okay, but if we keep making the same mistake over and over again, we never progress. Please save this live video. Is there any way? Yeah, I save the lives. They're all on my YouTube under live, I think, and you can connect with me on Patreon, or if there is like a really specific, if there's a really specific question that you want to ask me, you can do so on Patreon, and I will give you like a really detailed 2-page sort of action plan. Okay, but yeah, all of these videos are saved, so you can come back to it whenever you want. Okay. I fall short in the form of uh, get angry and annoyed when I sometimes tell white lies, but I'm working on myself. I'm destined to get out of here. Yeah. Do you know what? I used to feel guilty for minor stuff like that as well. But the truth is that in we live on earth, okay? People lie, cheat, scheme all day long. And a lot of the time, look at the people who are in charge of the politicians. They're the biggest liars, the biggest criminals, the biggest scammers, okay? But look how much money and power they've got. Okay, so it's impossible to get through this life being perfect. Okay, you're just going to get stomped all over and used and abused. The goal is not to be perfect, especially if you're more empathic. The goal is to sort of learn the tricks of this world and use them to your advantage. Okay, so that doesn't mean to go around screwing people over on the scale that these politicians do and stuff, but we're going to have to tell a white lie here or there just to get what we want, and that's just it. Don't feel guilty about it as long as you're not doing anything extremely manipulative or you're violating another person's free will. Then don't feel guilty about it. It's just the world that we live in, and trying to be perfect is impossible. And guilt is another low emotion that keeps us stuck here. Okay, so as humans, we're like robots. Okay, so robots only think in terms of on, off, right, wrong, up, down, left, right. Okay, so they only think of things in terms of extreme polarities. Okay, humans are exactly the same. They only think that people could be perfect, or they're awful and they're going to burn in hell forever. They don't believe that there's a space in the middle. Okay, so the point of life is, or the way to get out of here, shall I say, is we can't be like God in this place. Okay, maybe in other realms we can, but if we try and be like God, people, this is a lesson that I've learned, people will see it as nothing more than something to take advantage of. Okay, that's where the symbology of the delusion comes from. Okay, so if you try and be perfect, what happens is these devils, demonic people, will subconsciously pick up on that, and they'll suck the life out of you, and you'll be left with nothing. And that's what causes depression. Okay, if you try and be a schemer and a demonic person, and a person who is overly manipulative, what happens is you fall into darkness and you forget about God completely. And all is manipulating and scheming other people, and you're not able to generate any sort of sense of love or good feelings from inside of yourself. So you're constantly looking outside of yourself for the next person to scam and scheme, and that's an extremely immature way of thinking. Okay, the master takes the best qualities of both. Okay, so they understand that the world is the world, and you're going to have to put yourself first. The law of one talks about that. So You need to be, was it 51% of service to self and 49% of service to other people. And that's the lesson that we have to learn to get out of here. It's what they mean by the heart chakra. So uh, be a good person, try and help other people, try and live a life of goodness as much as you can, but never at the expense of yourself. And if you ever get in a situation where you have to choose between yourself and the other person, always choose yourself. Okay, always look after yourself. Okay, and uh, that's just the nature of the game. Okay, so yeah, that's the way to avoid guilt and how to get out of here, metaphorically. Keep up the great work. Thank you, thank you. I will do. I will do. If there's anything that you want to talk to me about, let me know. I need to come on live a lot more often and talk to you guys. Like I said, I feel like I've been finding it hard to make videos at the moment because I'm in a pretty good place, and yeah, I think it's hard for me to talk about the Matrix and the devil and all of that stuff, because to talk about those things I have to put myself in a certain mindset that I'm not in, and it's quite stressful for me to go back there. But I will do it because I know how much it helps all of you guys. But yeah, no, I've got a lot of videos coming up. I've got a series on how to decode the Bible and look at things more esoterically, and more videos about the prison planet and how that shows up in different religions and how we get the simulation theory. There is no judgment in death. You're being fooled if you take some spirit guides, gurus to help you. You always ask to show you go into the darkness and find your own light. Yeah, that's a perfect way to end it. Okay, you've got to go into the darkness, unfortunately, to find your own light. Okay, so I think I'm gonna leave it there for you guys. I'm gonna save this video on my live section, and it's gonna be under the playlist. I think I called it Self Mastery TV. So it's there if you wanna connect with me. If you want to see my videos where I talk about simulation theory and all of this stuff, but on a much deeper level, then it's on my Patreon or YouTube members. But Patreon is a little bit better because I can speak to you guys more directly. YouTube members, I can only post videos, but it's up to you. And if there's anything really, really specific that's quite personal that you want to ask me, get a lot of emails about that, you can reach out to me on Patreon, and I will definitely help you. But thanks for watching. Thanks to the people that watched it all the way through. I really enjoy these lives, even though I started speaking about something completely different. My favorite part is answering your questions and talking to all of you guys. So yeah, I hope you found that enjoyable, and look out for my new videos, and I will see you all really soon. Thanks for the likes, guys. Thank you. I'm going to end it there. Bye, guys.